To everyone who was involved in this race, who helped us or supported us back at home, watching us on the tracker or at the race, actually wrenching on parts, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. There's no way that we could do any of this without you, and your support is what actually keeps us going. And without it, there's no point in doing any of this. There really isn't. All right, first day of pre-running, we're all set to leave Ensenada, and we're going to be in San Felipe tonight. It's about 185 miles. We've got the Blooms, we've got my brother and Brian, we've got Rich Williams and Jeff Day, and then of course we've got Chase behind that camera right there, slowing us down every single chance that he can freaking take. We decided that we were going to do roughly 200 miles a day, or a 4-day pre-run. And during the first day, my pre-runner had overheating issues.
Turned out it wasn't just a seal, they cracked a weld.
Yeah.
And so that cracked weld, we got to weld that bitch up. Make it work.
When in Rome.
So the second day, very fortunate to have a lot of people in our pre-run. My navigator volunteered his car and we hopped in another X3 and finished the pre-run on the second day. So right now we're in the back lot over at the Mission Hotel in Catavina, roughly race mile 480. Yesterday took a toll on some of the equipment going through the whoops in San Felipe. We've got a front hub bearing and an axle that we're kind of dealing with right now, but it's just part of the game when you're pre-running, it's part of the game when you're racing. So we're almost done fixing everything. We're gonna get back on the road and probably start off at 480 and work our way up to 680 today.
Oh. Very easy.
Andy?
Hey, good morning.
How's the back kitty holding down?
Oh, she's doing amazing.
Everyone else is working on their stuff. What's going on with you?
Oh, just tinkering.
Yeah?
Getting her ready for another good day in the Baja.
Well, you said it's all done. Something tells me I should leave.
We finished the second day, or third day pre-run without any issues. It was a great day. Got to a decent hotel and had a good night and a great morning. And it was actually the first morning that we started our pre-run on time.
Out of the corner,
last day of pre-running on the 4th, we ran the whole West Coast. It was beautiful scenery, running along the coast for half the time. Most of the race course at that point was fast, and our speeds really picked up, and we were able to run the whole remaining portion of our pre-run and get a lot of information and find ways around rough spots. So all in all, pre-runs like a lot of them with a lot of problems, all of which were overcome. Everybody had a great time, and we learned a lot so that we could apply that to the race. Mainly, the things we learned were pit strategy.
All right, our pre-run went badass. Everything was killer. Yesterday we took the whole day to kind of prep everything in the trucks. We've got all the trucks ready to go 3 days in advance. Came here to contingency. This is always one of our most favorite things. We get to see everybody that's out here in Baja. We get to see all of our sponsors are in contingency. We just got done signing up all of our driver information. We're gonna go grab the car and go right over to the podium. And we got these cool commemorative tequila. All right, well, today's race day. It is Friday, and we're basically just kind of wiping the car off. We've done all of our prep work. There's really nothing left to do except for put our race suits on and get over to the starting line.
And excitement for, hey, let's do this. Yeah, it gets you time to get your seatbelt adjusted. Yep.
wanted to be very relaxed. We wanted to run almost a fast pre-run pace, very relaxed, and something we could consistently run for 24 hours. We didn't want to run too hard. We didn't want to push the car too hard. We didn't want to push ourselves too hard. We might get past running that pace, but it's a long race. We figured that more the tortoise than the hare was a better strategy for this. And it seemed like that paid off, because in the first 140 miles, we were running a very relaxed pace. We passed a lot of guys. We started 13th or 14th, and by about race mile 100, we were in the 3rd place on track.
Hey, bud.
Hey.
Getting out?
Yeah, I gotta go use the restroom.
Yellow rag.
Well, I think we're doing pretty good. We're running a pretty relaxed pace, and I think we were in the top 5 or 6 when we came into San Felipe, right around race mile 140 to 200 or 140 to 160. We had a 12 car cut across the course right in front of us, and when that happened, we grabbed the brakes and picked another path. That path had a nasty drop and kind of a cliff edge in it, and when we came out the other side on the throttle, it blew the front diff up. So with the front diff out of it and in 2-wheel drive, we figured that we would be pretty screwed when we got to the silt beds around 380. So we decided to take the time in San Felipe to put the diff in here instead of down there, and that way we don't have any problems getting stuck in the silt. And maybe everybody else ahead of us does, and we can get back in the top 5. We'll see.
At least we thought it was the front diff, but we basically lost 4-wheel drive. So we stopped to check it out, found that it was actually a stripped front driveline yoke that connects the driveline to the differential that was completely stripped bare and spinning in place. So we got going after the yoke replacement, and shortly after we lost all front brakes. Throughout nighttime, we ran from race mile 205 to 535. And that section was nonstop silt, nonstop rock. Very hard to describe it properly to someone who hasn't seen it or raced it. It's extremely rough, it's very slow, and torturous if you're trying to go fast. It'll break you down because there's no way you can go fast in those sections. Our chances for a win or a podium were gone, and so our goal at that point was just to finish. But if we could pass a couple of other 2,900 cars on the way and step it up a bit, maybe get in the top 10, that was kind of our goal.
Well, we're here at 5:35 after a long night of little mishaps. We've had a little differential collar issue, and then they ravaged through the night and got us all the way up to 5:35, which they should be here any minute. We're going to splash them full of fuel, do a couple of checks on the lug nuts and the shock bolts that were changed. And we're going to change co-drivers and put Rich back in the car. We're going to give Justin a little bit of enthusiastic talk. We're going to say, all right, we're almost there. And we're going to send him down the road.
I watched Darren.
So, a lot of people ask me what it's like to Ironman 1000. It's very hard to describe in a short amount of words. If you've ever taken your streetcar and you've done an all-nighter to go drive to family in Texas from California or it doesn't really matter where you're headed, but you take your car and hit on the freeway and 24 hours later you're somewhere and you've done it the whole time yourself. That's hard. And throughout the night you think that you're going to fall asleep and you start singing to yourself and you open the window and you cool everything off, or you pour ice water on your neck, or you might hit your leg to try and get you some adrenaline. Whatever those feelings are that you've done in an overnighter on a car on a freeway, you can throw them out the window because it's 10 times harder than that.
I think I'm pretty good, other than I lost the catheter a couple hundred miles ago, so I'm getting out of the car right now. All right. If you know what I mean.
Okay.
It'll be quick.
Excuse me. So the idea of the car failing wasn't even in our mind. We had passed the second wind and the second drawdown on our mental state, and we were in a good mood. We knew we were finishing. Honestly, in our mind, we were already picking out the restaurant to take the crew to celebrate the fact that we finished.
How you feeling, bud?
Good. Dirty.
What's out there?
Silt. A lot of silt. A lot of whips. A lot of rocks. A lot of punishment.
What's your favorite part?
All of it.
We were running down graded roads in a mountain area, headed towards Santa Tomas, which is a small town on the Highway 1, and coming around mountain, blind corners, left to right, left, right, coming around a left with a mountain on the left-hand side, blind at about 45 miles an hour, and halfway through the corner setup and throttling through the turn, a local truck meets us halfway, dead center in the course. And the only thing that we saw was pickup truck. The original officer said everything's going on the hook and going impound and everybody goes to jail, and he was pointing out that it's a STORR funded event. We pay to race on the street, that we have the insurance for that, and they're requiring a STORR official. That's why I asked you if you could get a STORR official, because until the official showed up, we were going to end up in jail. And but that officer got to talking with Pedro quite a bit, and they sort of chummed it up, and then he had his boss come over, and his boss was even cooler, and his boss said that the guy that hit us, it's his fault, that he's actually going to be arrested for injuring his wife. The wife in the back seat, her face had gone forward into the back of the headrest of the front seat, and she broke her teeth in her jaw. So when we got settled after the crash, meaning like crash, what's going on, okay, you start thinking about what to do. Rich got out of the car to set up stop sticks for other racers coming down the course so they didn't hit us. And then I got out of the car with the first aid kit and tried to help the lady in the back seat. And with contacting Stella and STORR Ops, we got ambulances up there. The first ambulance actually had a flat tire as it pulled in, so they called a second ambulance. Our chase crew got there within 10 minutes because they were only 1.5 miles away, and they administered first aid to the lady who was hurt. But we decided to stay there until she was taken away in the ambulance and okay. Her kids were okay, her husband and friend were okay, and then we ended up staying there until the police arrived. And that was a long process because the first officer that came to us didn't want to make a decision as to who was at fault, so we called his supervisor. The supervisor came in 2 hours later, and he didn't want to make a decision as to what was going on either, so he called his boss, and the boss came in 2 hours later, and he decided that we were racers with a permit to race on a race course, and that they were in the middle of the course, and that they were at fault. So because of this decision, we were allowed to leave as opposed to jail and impound. And we took that opportunity to try and finish the race if at all possible. So we called STORR Ops, and they said that we could finish. So we did everything we could to do that. All in all, it was about a 6 to 8 hour event between the head-on and when we actually were able to leave. We limped the car down the hill, and we addressed a few things that were bent and broken, and cut some stuff off the car, and decided we're finishing this thing no matter what. And we've come too far. Everybody deserves a finish. So my right hand was pretty swole up, and my right leg didn't work very good. So we drove the last 70 miles with my left foot and one hand. And we drove the car slow just to try and make it to the end without breaking anything that we hadn't seen on the car. And luckily, 2 or 3 hours later, we finished the race. And that right there is the accomplishment that we are the most proud of as a team, making that happen.
I know that you're curious, I know that you're strong, but life can be furious and things can go wrong. You go, we're better off tomorrow, but who knows if we get joy or sorrow.
And he still doesn't lift.
Stay true to that fire in your heart and your soul. Don't drench your desire in what you can't control. We fly, try so hard to get there, and we might, lost but not forever. There's things in life you simply need to know, but sun and rain and trust in letting go. It takes a bit of suffering, sleepless nights and wandering, before you make it safely to the end, the end, the end.
So during this race, there were many times where we felt like we couldn't continue with the car, or there was no way we could fix it, or why bother it continuing if we're this far behind. But every single time our team rose to the top and fixed the problems and told each other and helped each other to continue to finish the race. And if you ask me what I would change from this race going forward, obviously I'd love to take back some of the component failures. Pretty much that was just a driveline yoke that led to other things. So I might change the yoke going forward, but there's not a thing I would change about our team. There's not a thing I would change about the car. The car proved itself, its prep finished the race, and our team proved itself. It fixed every single obstacle that was thrown in front of it. And so for those reasons, I'm not going to change one thing about our team. I think it's spot on.
Sun and rain and trust in letting go. It takes a bit of suffering, sleepless nights and wandering, before you make it safely to the end. The end. There's things in life you simply need to know. But sun and rain and trust in letting go. It takes a bit of suffering, sleepless nights and wandering, before you make it safely to the end. Before you make it safely to the end. The end, the end.
No, come on in. No, you're good, dude. Oh, well, thank you very much. Shop fluffer right there.
Did you see some of that?
Hey Pedro, hey Papa.
Hi, hi son.
How are you doing?
Fine here, working.
We almost finished?
They're fixing the cars. Go to Peru.
Yes?
Yes.
You're the best.
Going. Bye.
Put a boot on
Rich,
your,
what do you do with this?
you put boots on the axles.
Oh.
So far, I've never seen it work.
Does not work. Remember the 500?
Yep.
Baja,